The postseason does not continue for the Milwaukee Bucks. A horrendous loss to close things out. This was a couple days ago, but we haven't had a chance to talk about it since. Just inexcusable. Up 118-111 with 40 seconds to go in overtime. And the Bucks lose. Unimaginable to have that happen. And you feel awful for Gary Trent Jr., who was the reason that game got to overtime. He was on fire. And the reason they were up, that they gave up the first basket of OT, I believe it was, and then didn't give up another one for a bit because Trent Jr. is just three ball, bang, and just rolling right through them. But then rolling right through them is not intentional, but quite the phrase for it, because he takes the pass and it just right through the wickets. And out of bounds it goes, and it gives Indy life, and they don't give it up. And credit the Pacers for taking advantage, credit that home court for getting them into it, but that is multiple turnovers in those spots for what is supposed to be a veteran team. And I get, like, Gary Trent Jr. is not the, well, how could he possibly have, right? Like, he is the role guy. And it's like AJ Green wasn't there before, but this is still like, this is Giannis, this is Lopez, this is Prince, this is those guys who have been in some high level spots before. This is not supposed to happen to this team. And it did. And that is a very big concern. So again, look, this is not going to quiet the where is Giannis going to go thing, because like this was an inexcusable way to end the season. And one that really makes you, given how the Lillard injury goes down, he's out for a while now. And now how is someone his age, his size, going to respond to that is going to be obviously very key, but also not something I would just be banking on at this point. And Giannis, he has his championship. He likes it in Milwaukee, but is it time to move on into something else? Because he was spectacular. All series long, he was great. And it feels like a waste to have him out in 5 games and to have him out in these ones. The one thing that would maybe give you a little bit of like, oh, okay. And maybe not, I mean, look, he still might want out. But the thing with Halliburton's dad after, where Halliburton's dad's getting right in his face, last 2 years, we've talked about the press conferences with Giannis, and it's like, what is a failure? I don't consider basketball, there is no failures, and those sorts of things, right? And like, if I'm a Bucks fan, it's like, hey man, thanks for the title, but what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we're supposed to be a championship team around the first round. Like, that feels like a failure to me. This was not that press conference. This was like, what? I've won titles. He hasn't. What is he talking about? And so there was a little bit of like this guy this season has remembered how good he is. And so I don't know if there needs to be something else. But, well, if he's going to stay in Milwaukee, it has to look a lot different around him this upcoming season. Like, I think you have to, and again, not to fall into the traps that we talked about before, where star players and teams with them tend to fuck it up because they just get desperate. But you have to surround this guy with more talent than you have right now. And that is even if Lillard comes back at the peak of his powers. It still wasn't enough with him. This is a poorly constructed basketball team, and you cannot have that when that guy is still in his prime. On the Pacers side of it, like, just some credit to them. They put a ton of pressure on Milwaukee and forced all of those turnovers and put them in a spot where they were able to battle back and win the game. Halliburton has been quiet in these games and then kind of picked his spots, and he came up huge. He was really good. You could tell he was embracing the limelight with this and kind of embracing this whole thing and kind of playing into his WWE fandom a little bit with some of that. But he really found it in this series again, and that makes this team very dangerous. And again, it is kind of similar to Minnesota. These guys might not make it as far as they did a season ago because the bracket kind of broke their way, and it's a tough matchup against Cleveland here in the next round. But this is a better basketball team than the one that played a season ago, and one that I think can now sustainably put on a run. I didn't think that from Indiana going into this year, that they could really be a team that could sustain it, because it was all offense, right? And eventually that gets shut down and you just run into better basketball teams. But now, with how well they play defensively and just the effort that they have out there, they are not, like, this isn't the Pacers Pistons from the Reggie Miller era and the brawls and all of that, but this is still a fine defensive team that at least can make you work. And it's not just bucket. Who's going to miss first? It's not that. This team defends really hard and pretty well. And they also have now, I think, a little bit more going on offense. Halliburton is great. Turner, you know what he is at this point. He is a stretch five that can be just an absolute backbreaker. But they figured out how to work Siakam into this offense. And then the big one is the step that Nembhard has taken this year. There are times he has, like, we talk about irrational confidence. I don't know how irrational it is with him, but there are some times he's like, no, I'm the best player on the floor right now. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to be the best player on the floor. And he has that, and he just executes all the time. And so when he is scoring at that level, and you have all those guys you need to worry about, this becomes a very difficult team to deal with. And then they defend very well. And again, it is not a picture perfect whatever, but they force a lot of steals, and it gets their offense into a rhythm, and it gets them into being a very, very dangerous team. So I don't know if they can hang with the Cleveland Cavaliers in that series, but I think they can hang with them a whole lot better than they would have a season ago.